What is good, YouTube? It's so good to see you again. I hope all are well, and I hope you guys are ready for Turkey Day. I love that cranberry sauce that you get at the can at Walmart. You know, you open it up and you go, and it just pops on there. It's a cylinder. Oh, I eat that till I'm sick. But anyway, do you guys mix your cranberry and your dressing together or do you not? Leave me a comment down below. I'm personally a mixer myself. But anyway, in today's video, we've got a wonderful one. It is by Ruben. He's a Christian guy, and it says AI may have just killed this skill that men need to thrive, featuring Scott Galloway. So let's go ahead and hop in.
1 in 3 kids under the age of 18 are in some form of a synthetic relationship online with someone who's a friend, a potential
I've
erotic
seen this
partner.
actually.
And I
The
worry,
AI
Dave, that it
girlfriend.
reduces, especially young men's mojo to take the risks to approach people and express platonic and romantic interest while making them feel safe.
I disagree with that, and here is why I disagree. Men are becoming more feminine because women are becoming more masculine. Women now believe that they have choice, and so they'll hold on until they find the best of the best. And a lot of these women are ending up single for the rest of their life. We're seeing it online. You know, they're too picky. And so instead of men not being able to approach women, it's women are not able to be approached. It's not the men's side. Men still spit game with an AI robot and talk honestly with them, and it's sick, it's twisted. I know it is. But think about it. When you talk to an AI robot, even if you mess up, the AI robot's not going to sit there and judge you and be as harsh as a real woman would. It's not going to tell you, get away from me, creep, screw off. You know, they're not going to say that. So the men still have the ability to pursue. The women just have locked it in on social media that they are no longer pursuable. But they want to be pursued, but they don't want to be pursued. And they want you to know how they're thinking before and feel the mood and vibe check. And she wants to tell you her truth. And men are like, screw these liberal idiots. Like, I would rather just have an AI girlfriend. It's not that men have lost the ability to approach, it's that women are not approachable.
And those skills, that rejection. So you're a good-looking guy, so you've endured less rejection than most of us, but you have endured
My wife
rejection.
told me no
I'm on Twitter.
twice
People say
when I asked
terrible
her to
things
be my
about me. It's
girlfriend.
okay.
But that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's approaching someone you're attracted to and shooting your shot. It's sending in a resume.
I got no
or
like
pitching
20
an
times.
advertiser who, quite frankly, is out of your economic weight class. And
And all the women that I were after are now like super ugly and super fat. And I am still looking like a bodybuilder. I've got an 8 pack. I've got veins running up my abs and my chest and my shoulders. I'm benching ton of weight. I'm squatting close to 600. Um, I look like a freak. I'm 5'6", 170, crazy strong. And then, you know, all these women that turn me down, they're now extremely fat. They look like a cow. I mean, they're fat. Got like 4 or 5 kids. They're unhappy. They're fat as crap. I mean, it's disgusting. So I'm glad they shot me down because who's laughing now?
those skills, that willingness to endure rejection as opposed to deferring to a frictionless relationship, is sequestering people, especially young men, and not giving them the life skills they need: perseverance, how to open, how to talk to people, how to sell. And most importantly, the key skill in success, I believe,
I see what he's
is the
saying.
ability to endure rejection, to mourn and to move on, to develop.
That is something that modern men have lost, rejection. And it's not with girls specifically. That's one aspect. But you work really hard at your company and the boss promotes someone who's lazy, who never shows up to work just because they're buddies, and it pisses you off. That's rejection. You know, that there's so many aspects of rejection that men are just like, I'm not happy. I'm just gonna go, you know, commit Sudoku because I'm not worth anything. It'd be easier to have an AI girlfriend. I'm not as good at this game, so everyone else sucks but me. You know, it's just men can't handle rejection anymore. I do see what he's saying. But with the dating market, there's a reason why. And a lot of it isn't focused around the men. A lot of it is the women. I mean, two sides of tango, yes, but if I had to put one side more responsible than the other, it would be the women for sure.
Develop those
My wife
calluses.
even says that.
45% of men ages 18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person to ask her out.
I'd approach
I
like
think that's
30
really
by
unhealthy.
20. Literally. All right. Let's skip ahead.
Just played a whole bunch of your clips from Friday's Real Time with Bill Maher, and you had a couple things that I just want to dive right into that are obviously directly related to the book and some of the things you've been talking about, sort of economically, but also on the social side of things. One of the lines you said that I really liked as it relates to what's going on with young men right now is basically that they've become asocial and asexual.
Haven't you noticed that men are like creeps? Like they're always on their phone. Like every day I run and I run by like the same guy and he's always looking down on his phone. He's always texting on his phone. I'm like, dude, you're walking. You're walking in nature and you're texting on your phone. What is wrong with you? Look up and say, hey. I'll say, hey. He won't even look up and acknowledge me. Just a lot of these young men are just freaks.
Can you elaborate that on for just a bit?
Yeah, learn how to say hey. Easy skill.
Sure. So,
Three-letter
again,
word.
it's great to
Hey.
be with you again. So, if you think about the most powerful, deepest pocketed companies in the world, most resources, most human capital, godlike technology, it's the 10 companies in the S&P now that are responsible for 40% of the value of the S&P, and 20% of global market cap is just in 10 companies. And those 10 companies do a lot of things, but primarily their job is every incremental minute from your day they can get you from doing something else, whether it's time with family, exercising, driving your kids to school, whatever it might be. They literally add $20 to $60 billion in market cap, probably more than that. Every incremental minute these firms can leverage AI, incendiary content, cute dogs, basically tapping into your need or the desire to have constant dopa hits, and especially amongst young men whose less mature prefrontal cortex is very susceptible to that type of temptation. They make tens of billions. And so unwittingly, what they're effectively doing, the most powerful companies in the world, are slowly but surely sequestering people, especially young men, from spending time at work, school, church, or other relationships. And I think, as I said on the show, we're effectively have this huge economic incentive to evolve a new species of asocial, asexual male. And I took that line from Esther Perel, but I think we're going to start seeing fewer and fewer young men out in the wild. Right now, a scary stat, men aged 20 to 30 are spending less time outdoors than prison inmates. So it's already happening.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. That was something else I was about to say. Like when I go to gyms, I see majority women. When I go to coffee shops, I see majority women. When I go out to the mall, majority women. When I go to schools and government buildings and this, that, and the other, majority women. The guys, and when I do jobs for colleges, community colleges, regular colleges, the people walking are generally female. That doesn't mean I don't see males. It just means I see one male for every 20 females, kind of thing. So, I mean, with numbers like that, I mean, if you just go outside and say hey to everyone, eventually someone will think you're cute. It's pretty good math, man.
The question that I posed when I heard you say that on the show this morning was, how much of this do you think is purely intentional and business driven by those companies that you mentioned, that dozen or so companies, versus that all of this is just a reflection of our habits? This is actually some sense what we want, whether we know it or not, that the algorithm in some sense knows what we're demanding more than what we say we actually want. Maybe those two things are combined also in some sense.
Yeah,
I think they are.
Yeah, it is. So I want to acknowledge the point, but what I think happens is, so when we came off the savannah thousands of years ago, there was an absence of mating opportunities, an absence of salty, sugary, fatty food, an absence of free play that wasn't dangerous, because it was a dangerous place to exist. And because our instincts haven't caught up to institutional production, when we can now produce calories faster than more than we'd ever need, we gorge. And now 70% of Americans are overweight or obese. We are addicted or easily addicted to porn because a reasonable facsimile of a sexual experience is very exciting for men, because while 80% of women have reproduced throughout history, only 40% of men. So when you have institutional production of what feels like a procreation opportunity, it's hard, or it takes some discipline to modulate. And so wanting dopa, which it purposely goes into your brain for good reasons. When you start to eat food, you get a dopa hit. When someone touches you, when you're about to have sex, when you're thinking about something interesting or exciting, or you have visual stimulation, dopa, dopa, dopa. Now that dopa is on institutional supply, we have problems, especially a less mature male brain, we have problems regulating. And so you're right, it's what we've been trained to want. But at some point, wanting to salty, sugary, and fatty foods, those wants vastly exceed the needs. And so to the most profitable companies in the world, unfortunately, are tapping into this basic thing where our instincts have not caught up to institutional production. It used to be the industrial food complex, shitty food that's high margin. Now it's tech companies tapping into rage, affirmation, mating opportunities, but the constant dopa of fun, gaming. I don't know if your kids are on video games yet, but
Not yet.
their brain literally gets rewired, Dave. So this is, we have this dopa machine that is unfortunately tied our economy to sequestering us from our relationships. And you're right, we want it, but we're not able to modulate it. And you're up against an indomitable foe. I don't know, even AI,
Right.
those little prompts at the end, you just say, what did Scott say on Bill Maher? Dave, okay, and they'll tell you, and they'll say, Dave, can I write it up in a series of questions for your podcast? Dave, would you like some data? I mean, before you know it, you're 2 hours in with these prompts that have been tested a million times to just keep you glued to your goddamn phone.
Right. It's like the guy who created endless scrolling who now regrets it. In our day, the internet ended. You go to CNN.com and scroll down enough, and they'd say, that's all the news we got. Now, of course, it endlessly scrolls and just feeds us more and more. Interestingly, you asked me about my kids. So my kids are only 3, so they're not on any of that yet. And we're quite good about TV. But I notice even if they're watching Bluey, which is pretty low stimulation, if I ask them something while they're watching Bluey, they pretty much don't respond. And I have to stand right in front of them and get that attention back. So if you forget a 3-year-old, you hand a 9-year-old this thing and then say, okay, you're going to also have to interact with the real world, you can see why it's a failure. So do you
We
think
don't do that at
there
my
was
house.
any way to not get to the point with technology that we are at right now? Is there anything we could have done, or was this inevitably going to happen?
Inevitable.
So typically it takes us about 20 years to figure out when.
It's inevitable for several reasons. The first is because God predicted it would be so. God predicted the fall of man. God knew that AI would be created. God knew that the devil will be defeated at the end times. And only God knows that time. We know from Daniel, in the book of Daniel, the prophecies that he had, and that he prayed to God, please do not destroy Bethlehem. And he sent Gabriel because Daniel was esteemed. And so Gabriel, the angel, spoke to Daniel and told him what his visions meant about the end times and the Antichrist and the 10th horn and the 4 beasts. The first beast, the small horn, that was arrogant and boastful, and he'll create a religion. It'll be a one world religion. He'll force people to worship it, and he'll. There's so much end time prophecy that's very, very good, but he has predicted all of these things happening. If you read in Revelation, there's mention of nuclear war. There's mention of people's skin melting off, and radiant fire and smoke, and bombs, and so we do know that nuclear war is going to happen in the end times. It is. They're gonna launch the nukes, guys. I'm sorry, I hate to tell it to you, but if you read Revelation, the nukes are coming. The other thing that's coming is the buying and selling a one world religion, AI. You won't be able to buy or trade without the chip, the mark of the beast. It'll be 666 either in the head, the forehead, or the arm, the hand. Won't be able to buy or trade without it. We're heading down that way right now. All of that has been predicted thousands and thousands of years ago in the Bible. So it has been foretold. I hate to say it, but everything that the Bible has prophesied has come true and is verifiable and fact checkable. 100% of it has not made one mistake. That's what's scary.
And a flaw in the instincts is resulting in a profit motive is creating externalities or damage in the public commons. So it took us 30 years with tobacco. Like that is a physical addiction. You can get physically addicted to nicotine. And because there was a profit motive, people were willing to stand up in front of Congress and lie and say, I do not believe that nicotine is addictive. But we figured it out, started regulating it, taxing it. And I don't want to say I figured it out. It's caused huge damage, but we've addressed it. It took us about 20 years with opiates to realize that wanting to be out of pain, and then that was addictive. And it took us about 20 years. I think it's taken us about 20 years with the smartphone. And that is, there is hope. My colleague at NYU, Jonathan Haidt, who I think is the most consequential scholar in the world, my guess is phones will not be allowed in your kid's school by the time they start school. So we are slowly but surely figuring it out.
I'm
What I
okay
think we
with
need to do
that.
next is be more proactive. I don't think we should have. I think we should make it illegal for anyone under the age of 18 to be in a synthetic relationship, and that is develop a relationship with a character AI that starts advising them.
Well, you'd have to shut down all the companies that offer that first. You'd have to legalize in jurisdiction, take law on them, take them to court. You'd have to prove, and then there'd have to be a mandate, and then the president would have to sign it into law. It'd have to pass the House and the Senate. I don't see that happening. I think this thing is going to continue to get worse because the Bible says it does.
Supposedly 1 in 3 kids under the age of 18 are in some form of a synthetic relationship online with someone who's a friend, a potential erotic partner.
Well, here's a good thing. Back in the days when I played World of Warcraft, when I was a loser, never touch grass, that kind of thing. I heard of a bunch of friends, and they were dating people on WoW that they had talked to, had girl voices, that kind of this and that and the other, and they all went to meet up. And it turns out that the girls were actually guys. So these friends of mine were dating dudes and had no idea just because they had feminine voices and they thought it was funny. They got catfished. At least with the AI girlfriend, it is a robotic female. At least it's not a dude, like a 40-year-old man sitting on the back of a computer screen typing sexual stuff to minors and whatnot.
And I worried, Dave, that it reduces, especially young men's mojo to take the risks to approach people and express platonic and romantic interest while making them feel safe. And those
There's no doubt men are way weaker than women back in the 1950s right now.
skills, that rejection. So you're a good looking guy. So you've endured less rejection than most of us, but you have endured rejection.
I'm on Twitter.
Even
People say terrible things about me.
even
It's
good
okay.
good
But
looking
that's a
guys
little bit
experience
different.
rejection.
It's
All of us do.
approaching someone you're attracted to and shooting your shot. It's sending in a resume or pitching an advertiser who, quite frankly, is out of your economic weight class. And those skills, that willingness to endure rejection as opposed to deferring to a frictionless relationship, is sequestering people, especially young men, and not giving them the life skills they need: perseverance, how to open, how to talk to people, how to sell. And most importantly, the key skill in success, I believe,
Talk to people
is
is
the
the biggest
ability to
one.
endure rejection, to mourn and to move on, to develop those calluses. 45% of men ages 18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person to ask
That's
her out.
sad. That's sad.
I think that's really unhealthy. And a lot of these men, young men, have gotten mixed messages. No man wants to be the creep.
Right.
I
right.
read a story about a guy who approached a woman at a bar, didn't go well. He was inartful and
Don't approach a woman at a bar ever for any reason. Done. Next.
elegant. And then he finds out she works at JP Morgan and she
Let her
complains
approach you.
about him. And so guys have gotten mixed messages. They have a competitor to life that makes us less mammalia. And I think ultimately over time, these people become very anxious and depressed. If you want to see an orca go crazy, stick it in a tank alone. The worst thing you can do to a human is solitary confinement. I don't know if you have pets, but leave your dog alone and see what happens. So I really worry that we've attached our economy and trillions of dollars in market cap to, again, sequestering young men from what they need most, and that is other relationships.
If you're looking to listen to more
Wow. That's a lot to take in, guys. That's a very serious topic right now. Something that not a lot of people talk about. There's no doubt, since the introduction and mainstream of social media, since Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and all of these things have become mainstream, men have grown weaker and weaker and weaker. And I work with these people. I see them. I see the kids. They're lazy. They're disrespectful. They're arrogant. They're not very good. A lot of them are DEI, like they have a job, but they suck at it. They have no aspirations, no goals. I'm around these people 24/7, and it's hard. It's very hard. Life is hard. But back previous generation, men weren't like that. Like men were signing up to go get killed in the military. Like men were signing up to fight in war because that was the coolest thing you could do. People wanted to be infantrymen. People wanted to be combat medics. People wanted to fly in the Air Force. Like people wanted to serve their country a generation ago. I mean, it was completely different from the men now who just want to get their weenie sucked from a AI robot and they want to watch corn on their smartphone in their mother's basement while they're 33, 35 years old. It's pathetic. Men are scared of rejection. Life is full of rejection. Even if it's not with women, you'll get rejected at your job. You'll get rejected in church. You'll get rejected with your beliefs. You'll get rejected on YouTube. You comment something, someone's going to hate it. You get rejected there. You don't make enough money, so you're a loser. You get rejected there. Life is full of rejection. It just seems like the men nowadays, they don't handle it at all. The way they handle it is they get on their smartphone and develop these freakishly crazy, degenerate habits, such as watching corn all day and being a loser and being asexual kind of thing. They forget how to talk to women. They forget how to approach women. They forget how to talk to people in life general. I can talk with anybody. I can literally, I can talk to a 2-year old. I can talk to a 100-year-old. I can talk to a 5-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, male or female, doesn't matter to me. I can have a conversation and it can be enjoyable and pleasant for anyone that's around me. Um, and that's a skill that's being lost. And I see what they're saying. But anyway, I hope you guys found that useful. Thanks again for all the support. If you could, don't forget to leave me a subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and like the video. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.